Con! No, not that con. This con, Kobra Con, and his wave mate, Rattlor. All right, 2 new MOTU origins, and actually the first of the Snake Men to be released. Let's review, reveal, get them on the toy shelf before they slither out of my hands. Hey, it's Victor. This is PopCon, powered by Gen X. That's me. Hey everybody, thanks for coming back to the channel as I continue to fill my toy shelf with my favorite franchises made famous in the 1980s. And of course, one of the most major is Masters of the Universe. So yeah, I have got 2 new Masters of the Universe Origins figures right here. They are the first of the Snake Men to be revealed. We got Kobra Con and Rattlor. There we go. There's a little rattle action going on. Now, these are some of the original characters from the 80s in both the toy line and the cartoon, and they're very popular. This guy was one of my favorites. He had the best action feature as a kid where his head sprayed with sprayed water, so it was really cool. But unfortunately, they have nixed that in this this rendition, but that's okay. Let's rip these guys open, review them, put them on the toy shelf, and see how they stack up. Come on, let's go. Well, the packaging for MOTU Origins Snake Men looks a bit different. As you notice on the top, there is that logo artwork of the snake. Now, this is the multi-language packaging. I've mentioned it before, where there's no copy here on top to describe the art or no little byline under Rattlor's name. Now, the back does show, of course, the action feature with the rattling and the extended neck. The artwork on the back is beautiful and uses Snake Armor He-Man, which is new to the line and wasn't in the original series. But as you can see, there's also Snake Mountain in the background, which is a direct homage to this, the original Rattlor packaging. But I gotta be honest, this original packaging art from the 80s, it's like the artist gave up. That ugly cartoon Rattlor is hideous. And of course, they do use Thunder Punch He-Man instead. Here we go again with Kobra Con in his packaging. We see also the Snake Man logo as a sticker on both the front of the blister pack. On the back, you see that simply shows the adding of the detail effect in his mouth. It shows like he's squirting, and the other people in that wave. Now on the packaging art here, we see that it is Extendar in the back. That in the original art that we see was direct homage. We have Man at Arms. What I love about Extendar being on the back is like it's telling us Extendar is coming. Just like in the MOTU Origins packaging for the Roton vehicle, Kobra Con was hinted at as well. All right, so what do we got here? This is Kobra Con. We have seen his packaging here. We know that it is the one without the copy on it, and we know why when we looked at the box. But I'm going to open this up so we can take a real quick look. This is just a quick look. Coming up, a close-up on the carousel, so hold on. But, you know, I'm just going to open this up. So, looking back, I remember getting Kobra Con as a kid, and you could pop off his head. You could then fill his body, his torso with water, then you put his head back on, which was a pump, just like a spray pump of any kind that you used, and it would spray this water mist. Now, unlike the cartoon, when his mist came out, it came out when his Cobra hood came out, which was great effect on TV, but he doesn't have it. But here we see Kobra Con, great color green. Now, there is a variation of this action figure coming out in the MOTU line as well. I think it's just it's not going to be general release, of course. So, outside of the plastic, which no, I don't think he's tied in. No, he just pops right out. Sorry for the noise. But here's Kobra Con. You know, that green is pretty shocking, man. It really is. Now his head doesn't squeeze down anymore, which is too bad. Now he does have all the Frankenstein pieces that all of the action figures have. Ah! But he can switch his parts with other action figures as well. So he does come with his gun, which is exactly like the gun from his original release, and he does have a little spray accent that we will see close up in just a moment. So sad that they got rid of the feature that sprayed water like a mist, but that's okay. He looks good. And of course they come with this, I don't know, I'd have to look it up, the unnamed comic, which of course has Boltman from Sunman. The Sunman line, which I don't collect, which is fine. If you do, that's awesome. But if you don't, that's all right. So here's Rattlor. Now we know Rattlor actually had a lot of concept art for him. He did appear in the cartoon. He does have an extending head. His feature is also different. Now I didn't have Rattlor as a kid, but as a kid, you would just grab his noggin, pull his head out to extend his head to to strike, because he was a rattlesnake. So same as he's a wave, he's got the same thing. He does, of course, can Frankenstein all his pieces. So pulling Rattlor out of his package there, we see that he does come with his tail separate, a little bit like Whiplash did, and he does have his staff. So let's pop him out. All right, now I had mentioned, whoa, there, I always drop a piece. It's just what I do. So let me get that. Luckily, I'm wearing a hat. You can't see my bald spot. But anyway, listen. Yeah, you could give this to your baby as a toy. So he does not have the way to push up the head like he does, but you need to switch it out to make the extended head, which we'll do in a moment. And like I said, the rest of his long tail is there. But we don't need to see it like this. We don't need to see it half-assed. We need to get these guys up close and personal, take a review, get them on the toy shelf. It's time for Carousel. And here he is, Masters of the Universe Origins Kobra Khan. First of the Snake Men, and actually, first of the Snake Men in the original line in the 80s. The thing is, they didn't even have a Snake Men faction at the time. He was an evil warrior under Skeletor. He is a beautiful mold. They've got the coloring down just right. The close-up and details of his scales are pretty remarkable. You can see that the flaps on his back of his head look a lot as if there is a hood to come out. Now here in his action pose, I've got him with his gun. It's the same gun as Zodak, but he does pose very well, and he does use a lot of reusable parts, but there are definitely some new ones as well. One thing that I do love is that being he wasn't part of the Snake Men faction originally, he doesn't wear their Snake Men emblem on his belt buckle, so that's a good nod to his actual origins. This is with the addition of the blast effect. Like I said, in the cartoon, it was more of a mist coming out of his hood like a cobra, but in the toy, he sprayed out of his mouth, a hypnotizing kind of spray. So that's what this depicts, which is really a nice effect. I probably won't pose it that way, but it is still cool to have. Something very memorable about this character is when I had it when I was a kid, my dog Omar chewed up and ate his left hand. So I was very upset, but it's some memory, it's still stuck in my head. But now I'm glad to have a fully intact Kobra Khan at this time. Rattlor, the second Snake Man in this wave and in the entire series, does have the Snake Man logo on his belt. He does have a lot of new parts. The scaling, the detail, even those feet are very new molds. It's funny about his face with it kind of looking up, but quite honestly, it's got that snake bug-eyed freak-out look, so I like that a lot. Now, the tail does go on, but not like Whiplash's exactly, but very similar. This is a soft tail, very soft, and the gradation color is very nice, but it just kind of presses into place, very soft. It's actually longer than the feet, so it will kind of drag a bit when he stands flat on the ground. Now here he is in all of his action pose. I've put the staff in his arm. It's really bulky. It's very kind of cumbersome, but it looks nice. The extended neck, again, it's not the action feature from the 80s, but you just have to add that on. But he does look ready to strike. Looks very imposing with that on, and he can look really cool on your shelf. I'm actually impressed with this mold and the details in his scales and even the new parts like his feet. His coloring is very cool with the blues and yellows across this like blood red or crimson. Just like a rattlesnake, he's got the rattle noise that he should. It sounds pretty cool, and he's able to strike with that head. Yeah, whoa, scary. Yeah, he is a rattlesnake and ready to go. You know I like modern incarnations of my favorite toys, so here's Kobra Khan The Origins. Want to show you what he looked like in the animated series and what he looked like in his original packaging when he came out in the 80s, as well as his action figure outside. Comparing the two, yes, very, very similar. We all know they have the articulation, that's one thing, but they also just look fantastic. So it's great to get a little comparison. There has been Kobra Khan action figures made in other lines as well, very different, whether it was the new He-Man Master of the Universe by Mike Young or some other series, but this is about the original. Same goes for Rattlor. Now, Rattlor has the unique distinction of being one of the few Snake Men to officially make it into the series, and actually, he appeared on the She-Ra series because it came so late in the game. Many of the other Snake Men didn't make it into the cartoon, but he did, and he kind of was an evil horde or worked under Skeletor, depending on the cartoon, but really featured in the She-Ra cartoon. Didn't really show a lot of his head-striking motion, and he does look similar, but not all that alike in the cartoon, but his action figure looks almost identical, so they did a great job, a great homage, mirroring it to that original figure that came out on blister card as a Snake Man in the 1980s, as we see here. It's worth noting that I mentioned earlier about another version of the character Kobra Khan. It's actually Camo Khan, and he won't be available in general release, but you can get him. It is a redeco of this and a couple of pieces that are from other characters. The reason why is that in the 80s, a Kobra Khan action figure, maybe in South America or in other countries around the world, was released this way with golden pinchers and a camouflage deco. Very odd it was not. licensed by Mattel at the time, but because the fans knew and loved it, MOTU Origins actually went ahead and made an alternate version of this Cobra Khan. Not to mention, it's a redeco and a remold, but it even has the hood. So it's a little extra special, a little more for the fans, and I love that they took a bootleg and they made an actual figure from that. Something that I wanted to bring up, it just reminds me of it, and I have to say it. If you ever saw the movie Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid, when I look at Rattler, all I see is the Snake Man horror face that was in that movie. I don't remember if you saw it or remember it, but I can't help it, and I thought I'd share. Overall, both action figures look fantastic. They definitely are an homage to the original action figures that came out in the 80s. It's so exciting to have some Snake Men to add to my collection, especially one that I had as a kid and I loved a lot. Love, love, love these two figures, and they look great up there. I love growing my Masters of the Universe collection, and I also love that they're almost a straight homage to the original action figures in the 80s. Of course, with modern tooling and modern articulation, which I expect. What about you? Do you like these guys, or do you gonna run out and get them? Are you a Masterverse type of collector? Well, either way, enjoy the collecting and enjoy the holidays. And maybe you should check out this show from PopCon for some more festive fun, as well as you should like and subscribe as a Christmas gift to me. Thanks again for coming, and until next time.